Hello and welcome to another SNG session review by the Nose. Today you can see me playing the $11 SNGs, and well, you might see those stats at the beginning. It's not really necessary to have them. You can easily play them without. I myself played up to $33 SNGs without those stats. So it's absolutely not necessary. In case you already get something like Poker Tracker, Holder Manager, I just tell you what those stats mean. The one to the upper, or well, in the first line we have VPIP, preflop raise, and in blue that's the amount of hands. And in the second line is the aggression factor. The second one is the limp call factor, meaning how often does someone limp and call raise, or well, a push is the raise as well. And the last one is the attempt to steal. Okay, anyway, let's start. To the upper right I got pocket tens, and I have a minimum raise from under the gun. Difficult to say what that means. So far we noticed that our opponent here is tight, but well, we just have 18 hands. That could not mean, or well, it does not necessarily mean anything, because he could just have had a bad run of cards. So in a way, it's not really a read we have on this opponent. The min raise is something that tells us that he cannot be very good. So I decided to play my pocket tens on set and maybe overpair value, depending on how the flop develops. Okay, that flop was not too bad. Anyway, I could check raise here. The problem is, when check raising, I did not see a lot of worse hands calling me. Maybe a flush draw with overcards. Of course, the better overpairs. Maybe pocket 8, 7, something like that. But I've seen a lot of bluffs betting here, like ace king. Maybe weaker aces he played here, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, hands like that. Maybe even king queen, king jack, we don't know. Maybe he's betting a flush draw. Then it would be better to check raise here for maximum protection. But it's not very likely he's holding one of those flush draws here. So check call is probably the best option to induce a further bluff, not to pay off just better hands. Maybe he just spiked a 9, and he would fold that to a push. So check calling should be fine. That's in a way the standard line on higher limits against good regulars, because they are just raising from that position hands like well, 9s, 10s, maybe jacks are better. No matter what, well, they will always raise those hands. Jacks are better, and ace king, ace queen, depending on how they played. Some people limp, some fold, some raise. Anyway, they will always make the continuation bet and stop firing in case they did not hit with ace king or ace queen on the turn. So if he checks behind on the turn, it's possible, or it's likely, that my tens are good against the regular. If he bets again, then it's pretty likely we're behind. So that is one of the plans on higher limits. Anyway, here was check call for me. For same reasons, in a way, I don't want to just make better hands call my push, because when re-raising here I'm almost committed. and in a way it looks stronger to check raise on the turn, and I can go on evaluating the strength of my hand on the turn. And as you can see, it took me some time to decide what to do with the hand. The first plan was to check call on the flop and fold in case he goes on betting on the turn. The interesting thing is that he just he made a pot size bet on the flop, and now it's just half of the pot. Well, a bit more. But anyway, this did not look very strong to me, and therefore I decided my tens, well, it's an overpair, it's an $11 sit and go, so ship it. And my read was correct again. He had just ace-9, which is played horribly. I don't like the minimum raise from under the gun, and I don't like the the pot size bet on the flop, and just the half pot size on the turn. That absolutely does not make sense. If he wants to go broke with the hand, and it looks like he wants to do that on the turn, because the bet is big enough to be all in on the river. If he wants to go all in, it does not make sense to make a pot size bet on the flop to make worse hands fold in this situation. Anyway, he paid me off. I'm grateful, so I don't want to complain here. Okay, to the bottom right we have ace-jack in MP3, and to the bottom left ace-10 in the small blind. Well, our opponent in the big blind just has 8.5 big blinds left, so less than 10 big blinds. We're pushing for those not even 9 big blinds in case we're pushing, so that's what we should do in this situation. So we have an easy push, and to the bottom right the situation was not too bad with my ace-jack to make a steer raise, especially because the blinds are a little bit higher. Push leader was tight so far, Diner was not too loose in my eyes. Yes, Branko was tight. The only one who will call loose is the big blind, and he's out of position. So I think with a continuation bet I can win most pots then, at least. Because he has to give up a lot of hands he wanted to play pre-flop. So I decided to make that steer raise. I'm in position, and well, I got re-raised, and we even have we have an overcall as well. This is a situation. Well, I know a lot of people would see, wow, I have odds of, let's see, 3.5 to 1 here, and we have an absolute fish in that pot with Seabrook. But still, our main intention was to steal the blinds. Now we got re-raised, and we had a caller in this situation. So we should just give up the hand here. Our hand is not strong enough to go on playing, and that's why we should fold here. And in my eyes, it's important to make those folds, because otherwise you would cripple yourself in a lot of situations. You have marginal decisions, especially when he pushes here and we have an ace-high flop or a jack-high flop, for example. You invested half of your stack and you have to go broke with those hands then. Although you can never know whether your hand is good or not. Okay, and as we could see, our read on the big blind was okay. He has to give up a lot of hands on most flops, and So that was correct, but Spangle probably had a strong hand here in this situation. Okay, the next important hand for my stack development: to the upper left, ace queen for 9 big blinds suited, and it's ace queen, so we have an easy push and a nice sack out, although I don't like the call. He had to call 600, almost 600 chips in that pot, so he almost had 1.5 to 1, but the problem is with his hand, he's always dominated. I'm pushing here with ace queen and pocket sevens maybe. So at best he got 30% here. Well, he almost always got 30% unless I'm pushing aces here. But still, I don't really like the call. He could wait for a situation where he has more value when pushing. Anyway, let's go on. Okay, we will have two interesting hands now. The first one is to the upper right, the next one is to the upper left soon. We have a loose limper, and I have ace-10 suited. I thought when raising here I can collect those blinds very often pre-flop, and if not, a continuation bet will work very often too. Well, let's just go on playing the hand. Well, that was the first plan, to steal the blinds here. I'm in position, so I have easier decisions to make post-flop. He checks to me. The board is pretty dry. Either he got the king or he does not. And in case he does not, he almost always has to fold here. And well, the continuation bet, and he pushes me. The question is, does it really make sense to make that play in case he's able to move me off a hand? Usually players become tight as soon as the blinds grow up, and well, at that stage they usually are very tight. That's why they just limp. He just called me. He limp called pre-flop and check raises on the flop. That could be an ace-king. The question is, does he fold it when he does not hit the flop? If that's the case, then my play was pretty good, I think. Because I made a better hand fold here on most flops. On the other hand, the questionable thing is, does it make sense to make this move with a hand like ace-10 suited? Especially because if we hit our 10 and it's not top pair, we have pretty marginal decisions in those spots. I think the play is okay. Maybe it would be better against other opponents. If he just had a hand here, the play was still okay, but I think it might be a move here with a hand like, I don't know, 7s, 10s, 9s, something like that. And then it's probably better to fold this ace-10 pre-flop, because that way I've lost almost 2,000 chips. It's marginal. I think you can do both. Just fold that hand pre-flop, and well, the line I played is fine too, because he's that loose and he has to give up a lot of hands. The question is, does he really give up those hands or does he not? It looks like he does not, and then it's better to fold here. Anyway, to the upper left, we had a limper from under the gun, and we have ace-queen We don't care about the limper, we just ship here, and well, to the upper right we just have to fold. We have a nice stack left, and we just have nothing at the moment. And well, with ace-king we have an easy push, of course. To the upper left, I don't get the line with Jack-10 suited. I don't get the overcall fold as well, because it absolutely does not make sense. Well, let's see. Well, my push obviously was fine. What could he call here and fold to a push then? In my eyes, he cannot do that with any kind of hand. Except he thinks he got trapped by kings or aces here in this situation. But it does not make sense to call for almost half of his stack and fold then for the rest of his stack. That's an absolutely stupid play. Well, when knowing that, the push with Jack-10 suited wasn't too bad because he had 2 live cards, and in case he pushes great odds here, 2 to 1, a bit better than 2 to 1, when it's pretty likely that he got two live outs. So then the play isn't too bad, but he could still be behind against 10s, jacks, and so on. In my eyes, it's just an open fold here from that position, but it seems like he loves to play that hand. Anyway, but please don't do that. Do the call fold thing Sucker Zap does, because it's just burning money here. Okay, to the bottom right, a pretty loose player is open raising here, and I got pocket sixes. I know I just had a few hands, therefore it could be that those stats are wrong, but I thought in worst, well, if it's a worst case situation, then I have a flip here against most hands out of his range. So I decided to push with 5 big blinds, well, 5.5 here, 1.5 dead money, that should be fine. Well, it was even worse than the worst case situation I thought of. He had pocket 10s here. I think he's open raising with a range where I have some hands dominated. I did not really like to push it because I thought I have fold equity, but I've seen some hands against which I'm ahead, like worst aces, like well, maybe lower pocket pairs, maybe hands like king 5 suited, stuff like that, and therefore I thought it's okay to make that push here, because I could be dominating some aces, maybe in one of the kings too, but that's about it what I'm dominating. And if not, I'm almost, well, I have almost always a flip in this situation. This time I did not. Well, that was bad luck, but I still think the move was okay with my stack, especially because I'm that short. When having a few more chips, you might, well, then you have more fold equity. The only stack I wouldn't do that with is like 7, 8 big blinds, because you don't have fold equity, but your stack is still good enough to go on playing. With just 5 big blinds left at this stage, well, at 100, 200, it becomes hard to play for the win. And well, I was the absolute short stack. It's pretty likely that I'm busting here, at least on, well, finally on the bubble or something. So I decided to look for a flip and get back in business. If it works, that's great. If not, well, then I'm out. But in a way, that was one of the few situations where I could look for a chance to win some money in the sit and go. Anyway, it didn't work this time. Hopefully it does next time. Okay, now we have a few interesting situations. Let's start with upright. King 8, we just have 5 big blinds, so we're, well, trader would call it comfort zone. Well, so far we are in our comfort zone because we have enough fold equity with that stack. As soon as we're through the blinds, we have less than 5 big blinds, so our fold equity decreases and becomes very small in most situations. And well, we're almost crippled when folding through the blinds. We would have 1,300 and some chips left. So it's better to look for a situation like this. In case we get called, we very often have live cards, and as you can see, everyone behind is pretty tight, especially the blinds. So that's a good spot to collect some chips. To the upper left with ace 8 suited, 7.5 big blinds. I think that's strong enough to push. And the situation, well, first in, that's a push, although it's a close one on this limit, where even ace 9 could call me. And as you can see, I thought about it for a while. And then the situation to the bottom left. The small blind will almost always call me. Well, as I mentioned, he will very often call me, but in case he does, I had 2-to-1 odds on my flip, almost 2-to-1 odds. So that's something we can do the whole day. On the other hand, I thought in case he's folding here, push leader's pretty tight, then I can collect those 300 chips. That's a bit more interesting in this situation because the blinds grow up in a few seconds to 200 and 400, and then my stack would be, or would have less than 5 big blinds, which I don't like. This is a situation where I could gain some more fold equity either when both fold or when I can win against the short stack. If I lose against the short stack, I have 1,200 chips left. The difference is not very huge between 3 and 4 big blinds concerning the fold equity, so I decided to ship it here, and yeah, let's see what happened. I don't know anymore. And well, for same reasons to the upper right, I pushed 7-6 suited here. I don't want to have way less than 5 big blinds if possible, and in this situation I could avoid it when pushing this 7-6 suited, and I don't think that anyone will call me pretty loose here because everyone can afford to fold, and in case they call me with I have a good suck out hand here with 7-6 suited. Well, this time I did not suck out. Okay, let's go to the sit and go to the bottom left. Due to the push with the pocket threes where I've lost, I'm in this trouble situation. I have 3 big blinds, and I couldn't find a hand to push before. It was pretty ugly, although I had a few to choose one, but there was no one that's been good enough. And now I'm in the worst case situation. I got queen 3 suited which might be worth to be pushed, but the small blind is eliminated. When folding this hand, I have to call almost any two in the big blind. Pretty ugly. On the other hand, I thought because the small blind is eliminated, I might have more fold equity, because the big blind got worse odds than he would have when a small blind is in the pot as well. And I thought maybe that I can fold a few hands in the big blind then, in case there's too much action, or it's deuce 3 offsuit or something like that, because then I have 1,000 chips on the button when folding through the blinds, if the push worked. Was one of the reasons to push this hand. Another thing is, on the $11 in goes, no one really knows what negative EV pushes are, and that's a spot where we have a certain edge because they give us more credit than they actually should, and therefore we can collect those blinds more often. Okay, then, as I mentioned, that's one of the spots where I could fold a hand, because the small blind did overcall. I think the push to the upper left is pretty clear. Ace-10 against two people is pretty weak in my eyes. The first push for 5.5 big blinds could already be dominating me. The second one could have a pocket pair that's better than me. That would be the worst case situation. I think at least one of them got a better ace, so it's absolutely not necessary to waste my chips here in this situation, and I decided to fold. And well, in this situation it was a pretty good one, because I've been up against ace-jack and pocket queen. Sorry. And for that fold I deserved a good hand, which was ace-10 suited. And I thought I could double up here. I did double up here. Yeah, meanwhile to the upper left, the small blind will fold now. Queen-jack, I have better than 2-to-1 odds. I decided to fold anyway here. The problem is, when calling this, I have 1,800 chips. When folding the small blind as well, I'm down to 1,500 chips, so I'm pretty crippled. At the moment I have a lot of fold equity against both players behind, and I might be slipping against his pushing range, but I really did not want to cripple myself here in this situation, and that's why I made a tough fold here. I had great odds. I could be ahead in this situation, but I think the fold is better, because fold equity should be worth more than gambling here. Oh no, I did not double up to the bottom left. And yeah, there's the fold. Okay, to the upper left you've seen that one push worked. It was a push out of the small blind. And well, now we have a minimum raise in front of us by a loose player. In my eyes, that's just an attempt to steal the blinds. And well, with ace-jack, my hand is pretty strong, I think, in this situation, and therefore I decided to push. I think he could call me with worse hands too in this situation, like ace 10, ace 8, stuff like that, because he got great odds. On the other hand, I still thought to have some fold equity in this situation, if my read is correct, that he can fold here, because it was just a stay raise. He called me with king 9 suited. I don't get the play. In a way, it's like a trap. Yeah, must be a trap with king 9 suited, which absolutely makes no sense. He cannot fold against anyone at the table because of the odds, or he has to fold against the odds. So he has to make a bad play anyway. So the best option is to push or to fold in this situation. His line did not make sense, but well, he obviously deserved the suck out by party poker. Yeah, to the upper right and to the bottom right, both pushes should be fine. To the upper right, I didn't want to raise, because if the big stack pushes me, I had to lay it down, although I'm flipping here very often. And so I decided to make that push. It shouldn't be exploitable, so shouldn't be too bad. And well, the push to the bottom right is pretty clear, I think. And I can double up. And to the bottom left, a similar situation than the one before with ace jack, just that we're that the first in raise is a position later. Again with ace queen, I think I'm way ahead against his open raising range, and maybe there's some fold equity, which would be great, because collecting 2,100 chips here in this situation would be great for, well, just a push. It's probably even better than getting called, because then it's not possible to bust out. And I think in best case I have 7% equity of the pot, so let's see, 6,600, 7,000 chips would be in the pot if he calls my all-in. So my equity would be 4,900 chips, my chip equity. So if he just folds here, I almost got my chip equity, my chip EV. No, even a bit more, because I'm to 500. So it would be great to fold, no matter whether he's dominated in this case or not. The best thing would be that he folds, and well, very often that will happen in those situations, as it did this time. Because it really is just an attempt to steal the blinds, and as soon as someone pushes him, he will fold. And you can see my I've won more chips than my real chip EV is. Against any ace I'm dominating, I just have those 70% of the whole pot, in case he calls me, is less than 5,500 chips or 5,400 chips. So it definitely is a great deal for me here in this situation. Anyway, the video is pretty long, I think. I will stop it right here, and maybe I will continue the video next month, and then I can show you all the late game pushes and calls and whatever, and how the session ended. Thank you for your attention. I hope you had fun watching the video. I'm looking forward for your critique. So see ya in one of the next videos or coachings or whatever. Bye bye.